Hello YouTube and welcome. Checkmate here, and this is going to be episode 17 of our Let's Play Kerbal Space Program series. So we're going to probably do two parts to this one. It'll be episode 17 and episode 18. We're looking to get our first space station in orbit. We're going to put this one up around Kerbal, but I'm going to launch them in two sections. I want to have a power module that I'll launch first, so it'll basically just be a can of batteries and solar panels with some probably have some RCS on there for controlling attitude. We'll have a probe body in there and docking port on each side. And then the next section will be the actual science lab with all the science devices on there that we need, along with whatever docking ports and whatnot we need. But before so this video I'm going to build both sections, and then in the next video I will launch them and dock them up in space and actually get the science station put online. So I want to go over a couple of updates before we dig in here. You see we're up to 2.5 million. I've done some more contracts to get our money up because we need to unlock a different type of probe body really before we start doing the docking in space. So I want to get to here, to automation, because this will give me, or wait a minute, make sure I'm in the right spot here. Yeah, it's actually this one, advanced unmanned tech. So I want to get this unlocked because if you look at these two probe bodies here, this one has the ability to hold. We can do target tracking with this one, and that's going to be important when we're docking in space because you want to have both vehicles target track each other. So you want to set the two different docking ports as targets to each other so that they'll be lined up when you're trying to make your dock. So we really need this unlocked, and this requires the upgraded R&D facility. We have enough science to get it. I need 300 for unmanned tech, and unfortunately this one doesn't give me the target tracking. So I don't know that I could use this one. I don't want to just try this and it fail. So to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and spend the extra science and get this one here as well. So that's going to be 3 plus 550 is 850. And I think we can also still get our heavier rocketry that I was wanting to get. But we got to upgrade the R&D facility. So that's going to be expensive. That cost almost 1.7 million, but that'll give us unlimited that'll basically unlock the rest of the tree. So let's go ahead and spend that money. That hurt, but we're down to 800,000. That should still keep us going, and I can always drop back and do some more contracts. So now that we've upgraded this facility, let's spend. We need to get unmanned tech, advanced unmanned tech, and let's get our heavy rocketry. We still have 157. Don't know, we're just a little short for the next, whatever the next one will be, but I think that's all we need. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to build is the what I call the generator section, or our power generation. And we're going to start with one of these probes. And we need, for this section, we're going to need batteries. I'm trying to remember. Really don't want to use that. That's for inventory, so that won't work. I guess I did use 2 of these because I was playing around with this in my test world. And basically what I wanted to do is just stack some batteries in here. Yeah, I wish we had the other power research. Let's see. Yeah, that would be nice to have that. That's going to be an extra 150 science that we just don't have right now. Well, we have to do without it. So I guess we'll stack 1, 2, 3. That's 6. So let's talk a little bit about power for a minute. So the science lab, it processes, so you store your science in there and they slowly process it over a period of several days and weeks. And the data processing requires 5 units of power per second. Okay, and then so that's why you have the science lab. If you have it open, so like you're controlling the science lab, it's using that power 6 per second. Now if you leave that viewing and work on something else, when the lab is not loaded, it doesn't use power from the way I understand it. So you just need this to hold, while you're actively managing the lab, it'll be using power. So I think this is 600 stored, but we also want to look at our antenna that we're going to be using. This one here, I think it was this one. Yeah. So this antenna here will transmit 20 mits per second, and basically 1 science point equals 1 mit. So this will transmit 20 science per second. Now if you had a full science load, I think 750 would be a full load, that would be a 37 or 38 second transmit. So if it's transmitting for 38 seconds and it uses 133, you can see here it uses, or I'm sorry, when it's transmitting, that's the wrong one. It was this one. Sometimes that works and sometimes it don't. It uses 133 per second. So that would be 5,054 electric charge to transmit 750 science. So we only have 2, 4, 6. This is only 1,200 here. So we really need those other. The other batteries had 1,000 each, so we would have 6,000 here. So the other option is to add a third section here. See, since we don't have the other batteries, I can add a third section. So that's really not enough. That's only 1800. Okay, I went ahead off camera and grinded up some more science so that we could go ahead and get these batteries, because I really wanted to use these for our space station. So all I did was I took our little survey plane from several episodes back. I attached the seismic instrument we have to it, and I drove around all through the complex here. And I did the seismic reading in all these locations. And I had not taken surface samples from all these areas yet, so I did all that. And then I also took the seismic instrument to all the launch pads and all the runways. And after all that, I had enough to get the battery, that node, and I have 37.5 left over. And we really got to get these science stations going, because I'm running out of areas that I can find any more science. It's getting harder and harder to find science in the Kerbal system. These science stations will help with that, but they are slow. So we're going to have to start going to other systems pretty soon. So, but at least we have the batteries that I want now. I thought it saved that little. Oh well. We'll just start over. So we need the probe, a couple of these, and now we can stack. These are 1,000 each, so I can put 1, 2, 3. I thought I could get 6 in there. That's 5. We'll do one more. Alright, that gives us does this tell me my electric charge? No. I know there's a mod. It's an engineering mod that shows you these numbers. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 of these. That's going to give me 7,000. And so, like we were saying, when we transmit, if we were to transmit a full science, which would be 750, it would take this antenna (37.5 seconds) to transmit at 133.3 per second. So we would need, it's right at 5,000 electric charge for this to send a full transmission. And we have 7, so probably this should be fine. This should be more than enough. At the same time, we're going to be recharging those batteries as we're transmitting too, because we're going to have solar panels on here. But just in case we're on the dark side or something when we do our transmit, we should have enough in the tank here to send all of the data in one go. Now, what else do we need with this section? So this is my generator. So we have control, we have our storage, and we need the actual power generation. So I wanted to use these Gigantor solar arrays. I think I can put 2 on each side. If I do it like this. Now I want to open these and make sure that they would, because these will turn to face the sun. So I want to make sure that they're not hitting each other. I don't know that it will matter, but let's just check, because I may have to spread them farther apart. Yeah, see, they're going to hit, so I need another section down here anyway. This structural fuselage. Instead of stacking these over and over, I can just put one of these on here. Now I can take this and move it down here. Another thing I could do is I could offset these. Let's see how this works. So if this is turned this way, if this one is turned this way, oh yeah, that works. So that clears. So I'm fine with that. So we want this to be able to dock on both ends. So I've got the Clampatron Juniors. That seems to be the only one I have available right now. I wish I had the other ones. There it is, Clampatron. That's another 160 points. So if I were to do this, if I need 123 science, it's going to cost me 2.6 reputation. I'd have to spend 320 reputation. Now, let's see how much reputation we have. Unfortunately, the only way to get this number is for me to recover a vehicle. Our total reputation is 559. So the problem with spending the reputation is our contracts will, I think our contract value will go down. I just don't know where else I can get more science. Oh, I haven't done material studies at all of the locations around the complex here. I thought I had done material study. According to this, I've only done it in 8. There's only 8 reports. Have I not done material study at all of the runways and everything. SPH, what is this? Well, let me jump off camera for a minute. Check these material studies. I think I can do the material study all around the space complex and maybe even on the surfaces, because according to this I've only done the material study. This is the Science Junior. It's not Mystery Goo. This is a Mystery Goo. The material study I've done in the desert, the grassland, upper atmosphere. But see, I know I've done a material study on one of the moons. Oh, that would be under the moon, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. So I can go around and get material study around the complex and on all of the different launch sites and see if that would get me what I need. And then I'll make up the difference with reputation. I guess I'll spend some reputation if I need to make up the difference. So let me cut again, take care of that, and then I will meet you on the other side. Alright, I just thought I would show this little airplane. So I've got a scientist in the cockpit, and I have a probe body here to control the airplane, and I've added a Science Junior on here. And I'm just going to drive around to all these different spots and do the material study, and then the scientist can reset it. So I just wanted to show how I was collecting science. Alright, so doing all that got me 43 more, so I'm up to 110. Still not enough. I need 160. So we're 50 shy, so let's just go ahead and do what we gotta do here. So I'll need 63. This one gave me 55, so I may still be a little bit short. I guess it's not instant. I guess it's an overtime deal. Okay, so did a few things off camera. First of all, I do have a tragedy to report. Unfortunately, we've lost our first Kerbal. Bob Kerman is KIA. So what happened, I was trying to find some science somewhere. I've collected about all that I can get off the planet here easily. So I started looking at the poles. You got the North and the South Pole. I have not done anything up there yet. So I built a drone survey plane and I flew it out there. Mainly I did a drone first to see. I didn't know how much fuel I would need. I didn't want to, run out of fuel halfway there with a Kerbal on board. So I did a test flight, got down there, landed, everything went fine. Grabbed a little bit of science down there. It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a scientist down there because there was more science I could get. And then I was going to fly to the South Pole, do the same thing. But for some reason, everything was going fine. I was coming in for my landing, and I was coming in a little steep. I wasn't in a nosedive, but I was dropping a little faster than I wanted to, so I went to nose up, and I had no control. So I started trying to throttle up to see if I could gain some more altitude, and my throttle control wouldn't work. Nothing was working, and by the time I realized it, I crashed into the surface, and we lost Bob. Now, I don't know, I was time warping some. I may have had it set on 5x time warp, but I should have been able to do some controls even with the time warp on. So I don't know what happened there. Of course, I don't have quick saves. I don't have revert flight, so it's a permadeath. And if you think in terms of a real space program, tragedy happens sometimes, and going into space is dangerous business. So anyway, I just wanted to explain we lost our first Kerbal. Now, if you'll notice, I have 349 science. I didn't unlock this yet. I was going to show that on screen. Let's go ahead and grab that. So that gives us the Clampetron docking port. Now, I ended up with this much science because as I was scrounging for science, I had one to take. I had a contract. Let's see. Where is it? There's one of these ferry tourist contracts to the moon. Wasn't that one? I don't know. I wish they would add these in chronological order. But they don't. Well, anyway, I had a contract to ferry some tourists to the moon, and I had to land on the moon. And when I landed, I actually landed in one of the craters that I'd never been in before, and I had a little bit of science on board the ship with me, so I was able to collect a pretty good chunk of science from that. So yeah, we ended up with some extra science from that moon trip. So anyway, with all of that out of the way now, I think we can finish our build here. So let's go back to the generator section. And I haven't even tested this. I hope these Clampetrons work. I don't know why they don't snap in. Oh, there they go. Alright, thankfully. I think I can put one here too. It's just there. There we go. Alright, that's what I wanted. That's all I wanted. all along, all I wanted was just 2 Clampetrons. But we got it finally. So I think this will be the generator section. The only thing, I don't think I need it, but I'm going to add an antenna. I think this one has onboard antenna, but just to be safe, I don't want to get this thing up there and not be able to control it. So we'll stick an antenna on there. And I guess we had talked about adding some RCS on here. And I think you want your RCS to be aligned up on your center of mass. I'm not very experienced with the RCS, so I'm just going to stick 4 of them on here. Right at my center of mass. If it will let me. That's probably good there. I can't put it on the door apparently. And I'm just wondering if I was to take this off, can I slide this up over those? Let's just find out. I don't think it likes that. Yeah, we can't do that. Oh well. Let's go back how we had it. Alright, I'm gonna leave it like that. I'll just put them down as close as I can to that center of mass. Which is gonna be, I do want to get it more or less. You know, I could probably slide it up afterwards. Slide it up and see. Having to hold down shift to get it there. Now can I open the door? I don't need to open these doors. I really never need to open them for anything. Yeah, I think that'll work. I believe, do I need to go with the 5-way? Let's do the 5-way. Because this is going to have to control everything. If I need to. I may not even need to move this, but I want to have the capability. And I guess we're going to need a little bit of monopropellant. Probably wouldn't need much. I guess we can just drop 4 of these. Around here. Slide those up so they don't hit the solar panels. believe that's it for the generator. There's nothing concerning about this vessel. Well, it doesn't fly on its own. We can't get into space yet. So let's look at that. Let's close these back out of the way. And we need to be able to decouple. And cover this. This is my largest fairing. Alright. And now we need to get into space. So this weighs 4.3 tons. Do I have anything saved? This can lift 6 tons. Allegedly. Let's find out. These two main sections. Those will separate and the fairing. And then we have that. Now this has 4,600 delta V. That should be more than enough to get it into orbit. And I guess I'm going to go for 200 kilometers orbit. Just try to get a circular orbit at 200 kilometers. That is close enough to, if I'm not mistaken, anything inside between 70 and 250 kilometers is considered near Kerbal orbit, and then outside of 250 is far Kerbal orbit. So that's two different areas that you could do science in and be pretty close to the station. So I could go, and I'm just picking 200 because I don't want to be right on the line, and I want to have a nice round, even number to work with when I'm trying to enter orbit. So we'll just go with 200, and that'll just have to do. Alright, so that's the generator section. I'm going to save this with lifter. Let's call it booster. We'll save that, and now let's work on the actual science station. And I'll launch these in the next episode and put them in and rendezvous the two sections together and get started with the science. Okay, so for the station, I'm going to start in a similar fashion. I'm going to put the probe body and then let's think about the station itself. What all do we need to have on the station? Let's grab the station. I think it's pretty big. That's not the station, is it? No. It's under the science, imagine that. It's pretty big. Just trying to think how, I guess I need to contain this. I don't have a service module that big, a service bay big enough to put this in. That larger service bay, I have the science for it. It also gives us the cupola if we want it. That unlocks 3-person command pod. In the Lunar Excursion, I have not used one of these yet. Anyway, that's what I want the service bay. Let's see if that's the size we need. I may have just spent science it. I should have saved. Okay, good. So that works. So now we can open this, access our probe body if we need to. Let us stick a old Communitron on there in case we need it. And then just for the flight, just for while we're going to be maneuvering and all that, I'm going to stick some batteries on here. That's going to add weight to this thing, but 4 batteries should be enough for navigation, I would think. And I can also put a couple of these. That's the, yeah. Put 2 of these on here. I could do 4. I could put them offset here and do 4. Don't want to block these crew hatches because we'll be able to do EVAs from this at some point. Okay, so we have our science section, have our command module here. Got some power, I got an antenna. I got some other power generation in case it takes a lot longer than we're planning. Now we need some science on this. So for that, we're going to do another one of these. I'm going to put it here. And let's see if I put a science junior in the middle, and then around it we can do one of each of these. So temperature, barometer, mystery goo. We want the magnetometer boom. Now the thing about this science station, we've already done all these in orbit around Kerbal, but the science station can do it again. It's a little more complicated than that, but basically the science station can do it again. So we can run these same experiments, load them into here, and it will process it, and we get a lot more science over time from these than we do from just a one-time use. So that's all the science I have that I can put on this thing. So we'll close that up. So what do we have here? We've got control, we have the actual science lab, we have our experiments down here, and I want to be able to dock this from both ends. So let's grab coupling, this Clampetron docking port, one there. One there. Now this also needs RCS. And center mass is right on that center window, so let's look at RCS for this. If I come in here and kind of offset it, we're not blocking the window. Then I need monopropellant. How much room do I have? Not much in there. I could probably squeeze some monopropellant in here. I'd like to just attach it to the floor here. Oh, I grabbed the wrong part. There we go. Looks good. Now I'm going to rearrange these a little bit. Ooh, why do I have 4? Put this one here. This one here. Let's make sure it didn't block our magnetometer. Not very good. That works. Okay. Now we need some lighting. So let's start with our dome lights around here. We'll go with 8. Let's light it up. That's the spotlight. Alright, that lights it up inside there. Probably put a few on the outside. One thing I like to do is I want to put four around here. Like that. And then same on the bottom. Just for docking. Kind of helps a little bit. Turn these on. I'll just do like, just want something that's going to stick out a little bit in space. Maybe red, that'll stick out. And we want them to blink. Ah. All right. I think I'll just put a few on the outside here. Just the navigation lights. I'll do 2 at the top. 2 at the bottom. And then what I'm going to do, I'll make one side red and one side green. Let's make this one red. We'll make this side green. Now, I don't know exactly what the orientation is in air travel, but you always see the red and green on the airplane. And the idea is if you're flying at night and you see red on the left, then you know the aircraft is flying one direction. And if you see red on the right, then it's flying the other direction. And that's why you can tell if it's coming towards you or away from you at night. But I don't know if red is left or right, but it doesn't matter on this because the left and right is, oh wait, this side. Let me make this green. I was turning the blink on. Okay, so maybe they'll blink. Sometimes they blink for me, sometimes they don't. Alright, what else? I'm going to raise these up a little bit because I can see these sticking through the bottom. I don't think that would affect docking, but I don't want to take a chance. So I'm going to pull those up. Okay. So now we need to, I guess, this would need a booster section. So we're going to need to get our coupling. Fairing. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Alright, how much does it weigh? 6.614 tons. So that other booster should work for this one as well. Six tons, we're at 6.6. Let's try it and see how close it is. Thrust weight ratio is barely good enough. I think that'll work. And we have more than enough delta V to get into orbit, so this should work. Now what is, oh, that's my doors. I think this will get us into orbit. Now of course, I can go ahead and load up two scientists that will change the weight a little. See, I'm just down to these two scientists now since we lost Bob. So that gets us, thrust weight's still good, delta V is still good. This should fly. So we're going to call this lab section with booster. Okay, now before I I need to save this section. I need to save this as a subassembly. Right here. So let us, because we're going to use this same setup around the moon and around Minmus, so we need to save this so we don't have to rebuild it. Why is it not letting me? The selected part is not attachable. Do I have to have the coupling on there? Oh, I think, do I have to make this the root part? And then we can take all of this. Well, I don't want to do that. I want to take the clampetron. There we go. So this is the lab section. Two crew only. So I'm saving it like that because the labs that I have around the Kerbal system are only going to have the 2 scientists on board. I need to reroute this. So we won't have other crew members on these stations. It'll just be the scientists. But when we get to other systems, I want to have room for more occupants, because there may be scenarios where, you know, we land on the moon and then we're not going to return to Kerbal, but we've got to return to some kind of permanent habitat. So if I put that cupola or something on this, where was it? We have that cupola section. Huh. I know. Oh, there it is right there. I didn't realize it would be under the command module. But this can house, I think you can put 3 in here, is that right? Minimum crew 1. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe you can only have 1 person in here. Yeah, crew capacity 1. So, I don't know, may or may not use these. I think at some point we get bigger sections of, so we could put like a hitchhiker storage container on these. That's the same diameter. So that would give us room for 4 crew extra. So I would consider that the permanent habitat. So if we do a mission and we're not planning to return to Kerbal, we have to return at least to a permanent habitat somewhere. So the science labs around in the other systems need to have capability for somebody to return to here and call it home. But for Kerbal system, we're not going to do that. We're just going to have the 2 on board. So that should be good to go. Next episode we will launch these and get them into the orbit that we want and try to dock them up and start doing some science. So I guess that's going to do it for this episode. If you want to continue to follow my progress, just click the subscribe button and we'll see you in the next video.